All right, hey there. Good morning, everybody. Christopher Inks with Texas West Capital. It's just a few minutes after 11 a.m. Central Standard Time here on, Tuesday, the 15th of June, 2021, here in beautiful Boerne, Texas. You got some clouds out there, but it's still beautiful out here, other than the heat. ERCOT telling us yesterday that they were expecting us to require more energy than they were putting out. And so we were supposed to put our temperature thermostats up and get off the electronics and whatnot. Yeah, no. Apparently they don't work in the winter and they don't work in the summer either nowadays. So, but we've got solar here at the house. So hopefully that'll do just fine. I ain't got to worry about all that. Hopefully you guys are doing all right there. Who's here already? We've got Bill and Hank checking in. Nevlusian. What's going on, guys? Oscar's here. Demas is here. What's going on? Let's see here. Crypto Mike. Howdy there, buddy. Good to see you. Silvio is here. Yeah, how is electricity? Right? Oh, man, I'll tell you what. ERCOT is the ERCOT is the, Texas has its own grid, its own electrical grid. As opposed to the rest of the U.S. And ERCOT is just a bunch of idiots running it, I think, anyway. But, we had that debacle during that winter storm a few months back. And now, telling us, hey, y'all are using too much energy here at the beginning of the summer. It gets hot here. It gets hot, in the summer. Not hot as it gets in some other places. But for some reason, we seem to tax that... the power there pretty bad. So we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Who else is here? Mike, what's going on there? Spiral Architects here. Data's here. Mike Kane is here. Checking in from Florida. Sunny Florida. Usually, right? The Sunshine State. Mechanic, what's up, man? Good to see you back. Winter Fresh. Duff Trades is checking in. Jelly Riders here. Train Crypto. Man, I love it, man. You guys keep showing up. Let me see here. Google user. I don't know who that is, but did you see the deep crab that gives an 8,000 Bitcoin target? No, and I'm going to tell you what. Most of those harmonic patterns, most people, especially in social media, guys, the charts you're going to have access to, don't know how to do them. They've got specific rules, and most people ignore the rules, as far as retracements and extensions and whatnot. So I don't give them a whole lot of thought when I see them online. It's never been something that's really interested me a whole lot. Just because it's too easy to screw it up. I like things that take a little effort to screw up when it comes to trading. But I haven't seen that yet. No. So, yeah. Michael Williams, what's going on there? Dan, he says, yep, the whole thing cost you over $2,000. What is that, Dan? What cost you over $2,000, man? Or are you talking about that whole, are you here in Texas talking about that whole ERCOT thing? Crazy times. Bill says generator shares going through the roof. Man, I'll tell you what, for those of you, I'm still leasing here because I'm waiting for that. It makes no sense for me to buy a house right now with prices accelerated as much as they have, as quick as they have. I mean, there's a top coming. There's got to be for the housing. And it aligns with the top of everything else. So it makes more sense just to lease until, we have that breakdown and those houses start getting cheaper. But man, when I do, I'm going to get me one of those solar arrays there on the property, and then just not even have to worry about the nonsense with ERCOT. I'll tell you what. If y'all don't have to worry about that, man, count your blessings, because when it gets hot out there and muggy sometimes, and man, last thing you want to do is be without air conditioning. Yeah, I'll admit it, man. I'm not a fan of sitting out there in the heat and the humidity, and I like the nice air conditioning. I like my 68 degrees inside. Oh man, what's going on, Bianca? Devils 2012. Hey there. Let's see here. Yeah, Dan, the Texas blackout. Yeah, buddy, man. I'll tell you, that was a pain, wasn't it? Man, I wish it had been living. I had just been ending the lease in the previous residence I was at, and we didn't have solar there. We have solar at this one. But man, it would have been nice to have had the solar, not worried about it, at least for a bit there anyway, right? Hey there, Block Tech, Nexus, what's going on, guys? Ibrahim, let me see here. Telluride says, Texas-sized solar array to run AC would pay for a lot of generators, but it's a fun engineering problem. Yeah, they've got, and I'm not, man, I'm not such a big fan of Elon Musk. I know a lot of people are all about him, and he's got interesting ideas and all, but, he hasn't found a way to make any of his ideas happen without government funding. All these great, his Tesla, his which is really just a battery company. I mean, if you think about it, and in SpaceX and all this other stuff, he gets a lot of money from government, whether it's via carbon taxes, or carbon credits, or whatever else. And so, from a business standpoint, I mean, you can't really hate someone for taking advantage of what the government makes available. But at the same time, I see a lot of people looking up to him going, oh, yeah, he's so great. But, I mean, I think if he was so great, he can figure out how to do it without all that government stuff. and if he can't, then it's not the time, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. But we'll see what happens with everything. It is what it is. But I brought up that because the solar array I'm actually thinking about, it works with that Tesla power plant thing. So, yeah. You can't stand him, to be honest there, Dan? Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Hank. Why would you ignore funding that is available? Yeah. I don't know. You said he would be a bad businessman if he didn't. I don't know. I don't know about all that. I just think, I mean, it's hard to give someone a hard time about taking what's offered to them so easily by government. I mean, but at the same time, I don't know. It's that whole idea of not being able to do it without government's help. And even with government's help, the only reason he's even making a profit is because of the carbon credits, and especially because of Bitcoin. I mean, and that's kind of ridiculous. He's not it's not a profitable endeavor for him, these things. But, whatever. It is what it is. I'm not here to discuss him. I was just talking about because the whole solar array I'm looking at would have that Tesla power system in it with it. So, yeah. But anyway. So, hey, yeah, listen, guys. Hey, listen. If you haven't joined us yet, we've had a lot of people take us up on this. But man, oh man, this is absolutely the cheapest we have ever offered Tier 3. You can lock in 12 months for 50% off our already discounted annual rate. So as you guys know, if you're paying monthly on Tier 3, you're going to pay $199 a month. And I'm going to tell you what right now, that $199 a month is nowhere near what I should be charging for what we do with that, just so you know. Ask anybody that's in Tier 3, they'll tell you the same. But we give you a discount, if you a small discount if you do a 3-month, a larger discount if you do a 6-month, larger discount if you pay an annual, pay it all up front. Because the idea is that you're not going to become a trader overnight. It's going to take practice and time. And so, if you're willing to put in that, to say, you know what, I'm going to put in that time and effort and get you that 12-month, then we're going to give you a discount. But this code I'm about to give you all right now will get you 50% off of that. So actually, it gets you something like, I think it was something like 67.5% off the average monthly rate. I mean, it's ridiculous, the price, guys. But here you go. Go over here to howtotradetowin.com. Go up here to join us here. And then you can go to Tier 3 Annual. And be sure you put in this code on the checkout page, 50% off Tier 3. And that'll get you that huge, huge, huge discount. And you can join the hundreds of people that are already a part of what we do at Texas West Capital through howtotradetowin.com, all right? I usually don't push things a whole lot. But I just think you're absolutely silly if you've been thinking about it and you're not jumping on this right now. So it works for current members as well as new members. So I don't know how long we're going to keep this going. We've had it going for about a week right now. But we've still got interest, so we've got it going at the moment. So jump on it, guys. We'd love to have you here, all right? Let's go in here. Let me see. Sorry, I had to get some of that cold water there. LXT, what's up, man? Yeah, man, that USD CAD long, for those of you that don't know, Had a position last week at the end of last week, and we got some like 63 pips out of it. And then I entered a long yesterday, pretty much near the bottom, within 10 pips of the bottom. And that's currently up about 53.6 pips at the moment. And I think we've still got a little bit higher to go. I think we're going to get between 60 and 70 pips on this one as well. So that's a huge bit, 2 days there with a long on the USD against the CAD, the Loonie, Canadian dollar. Fantastic trades going on there. And, of course, I let Discord know when I was doing the updates and I entered in them. I let them know that I was in there. So it is what it is out there, right? Oh, my gosh. No, we don't have any Twitch mods, unfortunately, available at the moment. I'm going to try and get that in next time. I've got to log in separately into Twitch and then at the beginning of the thing maybe find some of y'all that are on Twitch and give you wrenches to take care of that. But I blocked the two guys there. Yeah, I got that. I think I got it taken there, guys. I went ahead and blocked them on there, so yeah. Hey there, Brian. Good to see you. So, listen, guys. If you were with us last, what was it, last Friday or so? The evening on last Friday, I gave this target here, this blue demand structure here. So, nailed that bottom on that pullback on Friday evening. And boom, here we go, guys, moving up. Now, I do believe we have a 1, 2, 3. I think we're doing a triangle here, is what it looks like. This gives us a pattern target based on the height of this triangle here of about $1,828.70. So if it's complete down here, it looks like we've got a minimum target of about 41,571. Now we're going to need to get some breakouts here because right now I'm looking at A, B, C, D, and potentially E right here. So we need to get a breakout above what would be wave D here at 40,460 to kind of be the first clue that the triangle may be complete. Breaking up above wave B here at 40,853 and 20 cents. This is all on Kraken, of course, Kraken charts. We'll then confirm that triangle is complete and we're heading up minimum to there. Minimum. Now, if it doesn't, if instead it turns around and heads on back down, then we're going to look for, it breaks down below these swing lows here, then we're going to look for the normal wave 4 swing low here, usually the 38.2 on the retracement, usually at the 38.2. If it continues to do that, of course, we'd look there at the 50. But, yeah, look right there at the 38.2. If we pull back to the 38.2, then that gives us a minimum wave 5 target of 42,450. Now, remember, this pattern target here is just, it's just a pattern target. Price can continue up through there. And usually what happens with the triangles, you'll have one of two things happen. Either you'll have a strong thrust that'll finish up, like, think of it in terms of like a blow-off type thing, right? It'll pop up and then it'll come back down, start coming back down pretty quickly. The other thing is it'll keep pushing up and up and up beyond that target. So this is kind of where we're sitting right now with this. If this confirms this triangle pattern for wave 4, then again we're looking at minimum of 41,571 kind of area based on the pattern target. But the R1 pivot here on the 1 hour and 4 hour sits just a bit higher there at right around 41,960, 41,960 or so right there. So that wouldn't be a bad looking area if it continues going up. And then, of course, we'll look, break it down as it's going up higher there. But for right now, this is kind of where we're at here. Now, we do have, here's the thing. We have this minimum wave, parentheses 3 here, target of 46,598 and 70 cents. That's based on this 1, 2 here. But what I think is going on, I think we're going to subdivide on this. So this will be, this is wave 3 started here, and this will be wave 1 of 3. So we'll get like a 1, and then we'll get a 2 on the pullback, and then we'll get a 3, 4, 5. And so then wave 3 is probably going to end up closer to this area up here, this 49,400 to 50,200 kind of area. I think is actually what's going to happen. I think we're going to get a subdivision on wave 3 here. And that would make sense because, as I told y'all, once we get through this area here, that's the key. Once we get above this swing high, that gives us this bullish market structure off the bottom. Low, high, higher low. It'll give us a higher high. And for technical traders, that's usually the point at which that's your clue to buy. And so we should expect some strong movement up through that. So wave 3 subdividing and heading up higher than what it would normally hit minimum level. So, I mean, overall, just kind of expect to continue higher there with some pullbacks along the way. So, yeah. Let's see here. Antonio, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Blockchain Gains, hey there. Good to see you. No, thank you for showing up, Antonio, man. I appreciate that, always. What's going on, Lamb? Good to see you there as always as well. I can't even speak, guys. It's a heck of a day already. By the way, this might end a little bit early. I'm here in Texas, and our taxes, our federal tax date was extended till today, a month later than everybody else because of that whole thing, or that whole winter fiasco I referenced earlier. We had a federal disaster area declared for all 254 counties in Texas. So they gave us an extra month to get our taxes done. And I got to get to the post office and mail out my extension request, automatic extension. So I'll be doing that here this afternoon. So we might or might not be done a little bit early here today. Good times, right? So anyway, that's what we're kind of looking at here with Bitcoin. Now, remember, guys, until we get above wave A here, until we get above this 42,599 area, it's still possible that we could have an A here, and this is a B here, and this becomes a C here, and then a D and an E, and so we have some kind of symmetrical triangle. But as long as price breaks out above that, like I said, I think it's like 42,599 as we've been talking about. 42,599 and 80 cents. As long as we break out above that, that will invalidate the potential symmetrical triangle, give us bullish market structure, and I think at that point it's the first real clue that the bottom's probably in with that. So yeah. Let's see here, but again, so if this was an ABC here, it doesn't always happen, but we generally look for wave C to equal wave A to begin with at least. And that's right up there, looking almost perfectly at the R1 pivot, which is just below that wave A up there. Right around kind of between the pattern target and the wave 5 target if it dropped down to 38.2, right in that area. So I would love to just see a nice clean break up through that and then not even have to worry about that at all. I don't think that's what's going on. I don't think that we've got a symmetrical triangle going at the moment. But if we do, again, this will become an A, B, C here for wave C of the triangle. And then you'll have ABC down for D, and then ABC up for E, and then we'd have the down if that were to happen. So just more sideways. But, again, just because I don't think that's happening doesn't mean it can't happen. It can happen. That's why I'm saying we got to get above that wave A. So once we do that, life will be much better. How about a nice rant on all the El Salvador legal tender nonsense? Oh, man, I don't know what you want me to rant about. Again, I don't think it's necessary. I've said this before, guys. El Salvador is really small and insignificant, really, in the world. I mean, it is what it is. Country-wise, size of the country and, economic impact and all that stuff. And so I think the idea that they're using, that they're having Bitcoin as legal tender really isn't all that big a news. I know, guys. I know you want to be. You want it to be because you want Bitcoin to rise in value, right? And your belief is that if it is a big deal with El Salvador, then it becomes a big deal, bullish deal for Bitcoin, and life's good, right? But realistically, guys, there's just El Salvador is just insignificant, in size-wise in the world. Now, what I think is more concerning is if somebody like, again, this is something I talked about the last few years. When you have, one of the biggest things that these big countries like the U.S. and other countries, one of the things they have going for them is this ability to wield some power, right? So they can push economic sanctions on other countries, and think of North Korea, Iran, stuff like that, right? If they're not doing what you want them to do, sanction them economically, right? Well, the thing about that is if you've got, cryptocurrencies available and whatnot, you can potentially sidestep that economic sanction. And all of a sudden, the economic sanction doesn't have the power that it maybe did before. If cryptocurrencies become used wide enough, accepted wide enough across a great many things, especially that nations need, fuel and stuff like that. So I think, the bigger thing about Bitcoin, I think, would be its use by, again, countries like North Korea or Iran that would try to sidestep economic sanctions, which I can't blame them. I definitely don't say I agree with them, but I can't blame them. If I was in their position, obviously I'd be trying to do the same thing. I think y'all would too, right? So, oh, you mean if El Salvador recognizes as legal tender, it's legal money all over the world? Just because somebody says, hey, this is our money, doesn't mean anybody else has to accept it, guys. Just so you know. It doesn't mean all of a sudden it's accepted as legal tender all throughout the world. Yeah. So, it's kind of, from that standpoint, again, it doesn't, there isn't much behind that as far as it goes there. So, what are you going to do, right? But I don't think it's really as big a deal as everybody's trying to make it. I think it's just people who are looking for a reason to feel more comfortable in their positions because they're nervous about the future of Bitcoin, which is mostly new traders, right? A lot of people online talk really, really big about it, but at the end of the day, they're just people who have come into a market that they don't understand, doing a thing that they don't understand. And they're hoping, like they do normally when they come into trading, just hoping that they buy it and it goes up. So any kind of news that they can spin as bullish, they're going to try and spin as bullish. But I think, guys, if you want to be successful in this life, and as traders and whatnot, you really have to, you really have got to go beyond just that kind of, well, I'm going to say it's bullish because I want it to be bullish, because I need it to be bullish, because I want to because I don't know what I'm doing and I hope price goes up and makes me rich. That's how you lose your money, guys. That's how you lose your money. You got to look at the reality of what's going on with it. Let me see here. Gerardo says, bigger than any small country accepting Bitcoin, the big deal will actually be when some country settles a commodity deal denominated in Bitcoin. Yeah, well, and here's your thing with all this. There is a disconnect, I think, with most people in understanding that what little tiny countries do is not the same thing as what large countries are going to do. So, El Salvador comes in and they say, okay, legal tender here in the country. Well, U.S. isn't going to do that. China isn't going to do that. They're creating their own currencies there. Why? Because they are the big ones. They're the ones who heft the weight around the globe, right? So they can kind of determine with and against each other what the heck goes on in the world, right? And they're not going to do that with a system that they don't have control over. They're going to make sure that their currency is something that they can control, to some extent. Bitcoin, how are they going to control that, right? So, yeah. Ernest the guy says sanctions are done via SWIFT. Yeah. This is what I'm saying though. Let's say U.S. says, okay, North Korea, we're going to limit how much oil you can get into your country, or Iran, right? How much you can import. And if they want to import more, they can't really do it, right? But if they go via cryptocurrencies, they can potentially get around that. And I think that's where the real issue comes in, as far as it goes there. So, yeah. So, yeah, let me check out what you guys got here. Yeah, exactly. Sidestep the Swift computer network. Exactly, yeah. Lamb says, Andreas had posted some public speaking engagements years ago and made a valid point that Bitcoin makes more sense for those countries versus the U.S. corporate. Yeah, because it gives other countries a way to, again, sidestep what the U.S. would have them do. So, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense in that way. Sure. Let's see. But if the crypto rich start getting mugged and kidnapped, not so great. Telluride says, man, he's going dark with that in El Salvador. Hank says he thinks they want the crypto investment dollars. No doubt, for sure. I mean, they're going to do what they can do, to better their position, just as any of us are going to do personally. Those in charge there in El Salvador are going to do that for the country, but not necessarily because, they've got this great love for the country, but more so because they see it as a way, I'm just saying, most likely they see it as a way they can enrich themselves through their positions in government. I mean, that's what government is, guys. It's just a, it's just a big system to enrich yourself, which is exactly why it's not that I wouldn't argue that it's necessarily that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's that people who are bent on using that power will use it. They're the ones that are going to seek it out. The rest of us are not going to be interested in doing it. We're going to be interested in minding our own business, doing our own lives, doing our own thing. So, but that's governments all over the world. It is what it is, guys, as far as governments go. Hey, I appreciate you, Ernest. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, guys. I'll give you, the realistic view of what I'm looking at and why. And it's not always going to be correct, but I guarantee it has thought and it has, substantial real reasons for it. I'm not some guy that's just going to tell you what you want to hear so that you come listen and get all my numbers up so I can sell you, I don't know, some kind of thing. Of course, we'd love to have you join us because I think we absolutely have the best, real world trading education out there. And just an absolutely fantastic group of traders in our community. But, I don't have to lie to you or to just tell you what you want to hear in order to do that. We want the people that are with us that want to understand the intricacies, that want to understand the realities of trading. They don't want to be lied to. Because here's the thing, if I come over and just tell you what you want to hear and then you trade based on that, well, sometimes I'm going to be correct. I'll be lucky, right? But what happens on those times that I'm not, that the market does something else and you're just going off that? That's going to cause you to lose money. You guys, it happens all the time online. You guys see this all the time. I'd much rather teach you guys how to understand the market and what it does, allow you to come to your own decisions, your own ideas, kind of nudge you and help you along the way, which means you don't have to agree with me. It just means I want to explain to you how the market works, and then depending on where we are in the market, you can decide what you think may be going on. That's the way trading should be, guys. Our views are going to be different because what makes me a trader and investor are different than those things that make each one of you a trader investor. Our times that we can trade, our risk tolerance, our risk aversion, current financial position and wealth position, short, mid, and long-term wealth and financial goals. I mean, all these things, guys. And not only how much you want to trade, but how much you can realistically trade. You might want to trade 20 hours a day, but realistically, you got a job, you got a wife or a husband, you got kids, whatever. You work in 2 jobs, whatever it is, and you might only have 3 or 4 hours a day you can trade. All these things are going to make the way you view with the charts a bit different than the way I view the charts. So I'm giving you, when you guys come on here, I'm giving you different views of different time frames, different ways to look at it to hopefully get, enough of y'all some idea of what may be going on in the way you're looking at it. But if I say, listen, I think this is a buy right here and this is a sell right here, well, for me, it may be great. For you, it may not be so much. There may be a better trade. And you've robbed yourself of that opportunity to get that better trade just because you didn't take the time to learn who you were as a trader investor, and you just went there following some Yahoo named Chris Inks online, right? So that's kind of the way it is, guys. And so, unfortunately, with that, we have people like that guy last Friday. You guys might remember. He came in and he was taking it very personally that I was talking at that time about the bullish count. He didn't pay any attention to the bearish count. He didn't pay attention to where I said, listen, it's got to make it above this level. All these things. He stormed out of here. Kind of like, I'm taking my ball and going home. Just because, and he thought it was because I was giving him a hard time because he didn't agree with me. So any of y'all that have been here for any length of time, that's silliness because I don't do that. But he was just unable to get through his own head. He was bound and determined that price was going down. There was no two ways about it. And that's all there was. And there was just no way he was going to be wrong. And damn all y'all out there that think otherwise, right? I don't want you guys to be that way. I want you to be open to the possibilities. Because that way you're not getting pulled in with emotions in your trading. Emotional trading is going to lose you money at the end of the day. You might get lucky here or there, but when you aggregate it all, when you get it all together, you're going to have a lot more losses than you'll ever have wins trading emotionally. Yeah. So, yeah. Hey there, Savam. Good to see you. I gotta hope I said your name correctly. Data says wife, kids. Oh, I recall those real life stuff. But this is why y'all come, right? Because I don't do that. I'm honest with you, right? I say, listen, I'm looking at it this way because of this. I tell you, listen, my opinion may be that price is going here, but if it doesn't get through this level, then it's wrong. And we're going to look at this lower level now. We're going to look at this other target because it's going to look more like that bearish count, right? Or some alternate count, right? And that's hopefully why you guys are here and picking up stuff along the way, learning a bit here. That's just trying to help you guys be better traders, you know, at the end of the day. Tell you right, he says, my FOMO win rate is probably under 25%. Emotions are hard. Yeah, they are. Me speaking here, words are hard sometimes too. So there's that. You come for the rants, Kimosabi? Well, I don't rant too often. But when I do, you know, it's because I feel pretty passionate about it. Hank, I know he likes those rants too. Anyway, so USD CAD here. Here's what I'm looking at. This is, you know, currently what we're looking here. So yesterday, what was yesterday? The 14th here? Yeah, and I entered at, let me see here. Right here, 121.414. This is FXCM though. Let me pull up forex.com, which is actually what I'm using at the moment. Oh, let me see here. I thought I had it. Yeah, maybe that's it right there. Because this gives me exactly what I'm working with here. Let's kind of get all this stuff out of the way here for a minute. So what I'm looking at locally, and again, this is to show you that you don't have to actually know what's going on fully. Just locally here, you know, you see this move up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you see an ABC down, and an ABC up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So potentially this bit of a 1, 2 as a flat here. And so my reason for entering was based on this right here. And so I entered yesterday at, does he give me the time? 8:24 in the morning, my time. So I entered right around this area over here at 121.414. Okay, so it wasn't that then. I was coming off the pull here. That's right. I was coming off of this here. I was looking at this pullback here. And so what we had then is a 1-2 here. And then, of course, this morning we have this nice move up. So I got this move, I believe it was probably this move last week for about 63 pips. And I've got this move right here now coming off right now at 53.6 pips right now. And looking for just a bit higher, somewhere between 60 and 70 pips on that. But looking for this to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming up here. So let's give us a 1 here. In that case, probably a 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then 5, which gives us the possibility then we can actually have it a bit more as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So still a little bit further up there to go. So that's what I'm going to look to do. I'm going to look to get it up there a bit higher, get that 60 to 70 pips, go ahead and cash out on that. Look for the fourth wave pullback potentially, and if we get that, then go up for another, potentially another 60 pips there on that next larger wave 5 there. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at with USD CAD here. So here's the actual chart that I've got posted there in Discord for our members. So yeah, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Get us a 5 up here, right around that R3 5-minute pivot on this. So yeah, that's where we're going. So, and if you don't know, if you don't trade Forex, man, knocking out 60 pips in a day is a great, great trade. And to do that, 2 times in a couple of days is pretty good as well. So, it's just been a good run here with it. There's a lot more to go still. Again, all this is predicated. I've got this potential bottom here. Let me zoom out here a bit. This USD CAD here. So I've got this potential bottom down here. It's not guaranteed yet. We got a lot of overlap. But, if this is playing out here, we've got a minimum wave, parentheses 3 up here of 1.23235. And if you ask why I don't just buy and hold, here in the U.S., if I just buy and hold and only do a few trades like that throughout the year, basically, compared to what I do now, then I'm going to get taxed basically the same way we get taxed with Bitcoin. But one of the things that I can do, besides running my business like a business, my trading is a business, when it comes to the FX markets here in the U.S., if you can show, basically an average of a trade a day or 2 trades a day throughout the year, and not just, a few months of just 1 trade a week or something, and then a lot of months of just a whole bunch of trading, it's got to be pretty well even throughout the year there. Then you can get your income here actually treated as regular income versus short-term capital gains. And so that saves taxes, of course, on that. So why do I not just buy and hold as it goes up there? Because, I need my multiple trades coming in there to convince the government that they need to give me that like that. So that's why. Let me see here. Rants matter. You guys are a mess. Creed Ritual, it says, has the 28,000 target kind of invalidated here? Well, it hasn't exactly invalidated yet because I think you're talking about Bitcoin, right? Yeah, you said 28,000. Again, we could still have an A here, this be a B, and this be a C of a, symmetrical triangle. But if price, rallies above wave A here at 42,599, then that'll invalidate that, and that'll be the first real clue that the bottom may be in. So nothing's ever really necessarily completely invalidated because, we could just have some crazy wave 4 here that kind of goes up a bit and then comes back down, until we're breaking out above the all-time high, which would be that, the previous move there. So, but yeah, it's much, much less likely now, I think, yeah. And especially if we break out above that 42,599. It'll be much less realistic at that point. So yeah. Let me see here. Let me see. Yeah. Well, okay. So, Lamb, when it comes to Forex, you can't go and say, okay, well, you've got a few really large trades throughout the year, and the rest of your trades, these little tiny nothings that don't really matter. Because then they'll view it as you're just trying to make it look like you're trading day trader. So they have to be all about this, relatively the same size. I mean, you're going to have some days where they're going to be bigger, as a percentage of your capital in the account there. Some days are going to be smaller, but if they notice that you've just got these few big trades, that you've let run, and you've got all these little tiny trades which have barely made you anything or whatever that are insignificant, then they'll say, yeah, no, we don't think so. It looks like you're trying to game the system here. So, yeah. I wouldn't say 1 Forex trade a day. I think if you can get it closer to 2 a day on average, I think you're going to be a lot better off. It just makes it easier because it's not an actual law. It's a court decided it. It says, here's these 4 factors that if you pass these 4 factors, then we can treat your Forex trading like a business, and then you get taxed at regular rate rather than the short-term rate, short-term cap gains or losses rate. But you have to do them all. You have to treat it like a business, which means record keeping and gotta have an area to do it. It can't be they can't look at it and go, it's a hobby. That's what you want to get away from. But one of the biggest things about that is definitely your frequency of trading. Because in order to do that, they want to think, okay, you're trying to catch the short-term moves. So yeah. Yeah, that's only Forex, not overall trading, just Forex, yeah. And because it's currencies, not it's not equities or commodities or these days cryptos, it's currencies. So yeah, I think that's what it is there. Let's see here. Michael Otis, what's going on, man? He says, with the DXY not looking too hot and the Dow now looking like it's going to roll over, coupled with massive inflation, are we in for a massive crash? Gold soared in 2008. I can only assume Bitcoin will too. My personal opinion is that we're having basically an inflationary head fake right now. I think we're going to have this sharp inflationary breakout higher, which is, as you see all the commodities and everything going up, right? And then that's going to turn around and rip back the other way. Again, deflation and inflation are not, they're not opposite sides of the candle. They're two separate things. Travis Kimmel did a good write-up about that, I think last week. For those that don't understand, most people think you have inflation or you have the opposite as deflation, but it's not the opposite. Two really different things when you look at it. I'm not too sure yet that the DXY is not bottomed. Again, we still need, as I continue to tell y'all, let me kind of pull up the DXY here. Right now we really still need this move above 94,741 here. But, again, so far we've got a good count. It works coming off these lows here. Now, it's pretty close to that macro low down here in January. But, again, one of the things I keep trying to remind y'all is that these macro reversals often happen in January at the beginning of the year. And so that's kind of like a feather in the cap for the possibility that this may be, the reversal right here. And I said, if this goes right here, if we reverse from here, if this goes 1, 2, and we continue up from here, it's going to catch a lot of people off guard because they think it has to go down. And again, that's where the whole idea of emotions and everything kind of gets you caught in a bad trade. And then they'll keep holding as it rises rather than going down, and then they'll have to either cover or get liquidated, which either way makes price bounce even higher and harder. So we'll see what happens here. We're still local down here. We're still very close to potentially invalidating this as a low. But if that doesn't happen, if this continues to rise, that could cause a lot of issues for shorts, which would see it just kind of rally even stronger off there. So, yeah, I'm not so sure that the DXY, I mean, it's not looking too hot. Yeah, I can go with that. Locally, it's looking all right, though it still is a lot of overlap. But all this overlap and this overlap here could just be a bunch of repositioning going on here. Longs coming in, shorts going out, reaccumulation area right here before it kind of takes off higher. It makes sense where it's happening. It's happening right here where this wave 2 of a possible leading diagonal was here. So, where it's happening makes a lot of sense. So we've just got to see if it continues to head up through here. First clue, you definitely want to break. Well, first one's a breakout above this wave B here, right there around almost 91.5. And then you want to get above this swing high up here at 93.5. But really, you want to get above 94.741 because right now on the count, that's your wave 4. If this is the bottom, that's wave 4. And so a breakout above that completes wave 5. Now, the other possibility here, in case you all aren't paying attention, is double bottom, right? And so then that gives you a pattern target above the breakout here of this height right here. So, if we can get this breakout above this swing high up here, looks like a double bottom probably there with a target of about, I think I've already got there. Yeah, right there. That's this thing here. That gives you a target up there of around 97.626 based on that. So, even if you don't like the Elliott Wave count, you can't ignore the possibility that there may be a double bottom printing here. And a breakout above that gives you that pattern target way the heck up there, which takes you above the Elliott Wave 4 there. So, yeah. And like I said, you say massive inflation. Yeah, but I think everything else is making it look like it's a temporary, just I don't want to use the term transitory because, I don't mean temporary in the way that Jerome Powell does. But I think it's just an inflationary spike before, a drop off. And I think that's maybe where we're headed there. Three or four states right now have just recently or are about to kick the people of the state off the all that unemployment extras that they've had. Remember, as far as housing goes, we've got a huge percentage of people that are behind in their payments right now because of the moratorium. And remember that moratorium doesn't say, you can just pick up when it starts again. When you're talking to these mortgage companies, your options are usually either to pay up all that you didn't pay during the moratorium, to pay it all up front. Some of them may allow you to add it to the back end of the loan. Others may allow you to add it into your current payments, but it's got to be paid somehow. And with people still not paying it, again, the idea that people don't pay their mortgages and then they start defaulting and then the homes get into the bank. Well, the banks can only hold so much property on their books. They've got legal regulations for how much property they can hold per how much they're holding in the bank, as a percentage of what they have. So they'll start going to auctions. Auctions make the price of the houses lower, which brings everybody else's houses prices lower. So it becomes this big, huge thing. And so we'll see how that turns all out there. But I think a crash, worse off than 2008. Worse, again, guys, my opinion still is that we're going to have this big deflationary bust that takes us down kind of like the Great Depression did. Where we have this large downside and it's an extended period of sideways. Because this is the everything bubble. This is the credit bubble. And so if that pops and everything starts break off everything else. So that's why this whole idea of this inflationary spike that we've had over this last year, in price spikes and everything for everything, just kind of leads maybe to the boom, just the sell off there. And I don't think it's stuck just here in the U.S. I think it's going to affect most of the world, if not all of it. Especially with the way that everybody's globally interconnected and you get the global financial system all kind of tied to the dollar and everything. So, yeah. What is happening? What's up, man? I see you there. And so if that happens, Michael, Otis, everything's going to come down at first. Everything's going to come down at first. Gold, Bitcoin, everything. The dollar's the only thing that's going to go up. Same thing that happened back in March of 2020. Because everybody's going to go to a flight of safety. And what that means is everybody jumps to the dollar because they still need the dollars to pay their debt. They still need those dollars. And those dollars start becoming more expensive as people are getting more of them to try and pay that debt. So I think March, 2020 was basically a warning shot. Because remember, that did worse. That did worse in a much shorter amount of time than what 2008 did, than what the Great Financial Crisis did. And we're coming back up here. So yeah, if we're going to have any kind of crash or something, it should be much worse than 2008 and 2000. In 2000, 2001, the dot-com bubble. All these kind of things. So that's what I'm thinking. Until it happens, it's still possible that it won't. But it's hard to envision that it won't. Being in financial markets as long as I have, and having the particular educational background that I have, both with the markets and government and people, it's hard to see this continuing up for years and years and years. I can't guarantee it won't, but it's really hard to see how that happens. And I know everybody wants to say, oh, the government will be in there, government will take care of it. Well, there's one thing you learn in basic economics, and that's marginal utility, right? And so basically, the more of something you get, the less desirable it becomes, right? So if you have a slice of whatever your favorite cake or pie is, right? Hey, man, that's great. It's fantastic. It hits the spot, right? You have 2 pieces. Well, okay, it's still good, right? But you're starting to get a little full, starting to get all that sugary, in you, and you're kind of, You get 3 pieces, and okay, now it's really starting to become a chore, right? You get 4 pieces. Now you're just like, man, I don't want, and you get to that point where you don't want it anymore, right? It doesn't matter. Maybe you're paying for the first piece, and you're paying less for the second piece, and less for the third piece. And by the time you get to the 4th piece, they're like, here, it's free. And you go, you know what? No, even if it's free, I can't do it. Or if they say, hey, listen, I'm going to pay you $10 to eat that, but you actually have to eat it. And you're full, and you've got all this sugar in you, and you just feel miserable. And you're like, I can't even do it, not even for $10. Same idea. When it comes to credit, you can make credit as cheap as you want it, but at some point, there's going to be that marginal utility. It has marginal utility. There's going to be that every time you're taking out more credit, it has less and less on that return. And so you get to the point you go, you know what? I'm not interested anymore. And remember, inflation, dollar inflation is created at the bank's level when they're giving out loans, extending credit, not at the Fed's level, right? The Fed is a bunch of just assets moving around on the books, basically, right? It prints dollars, which are used to buy. It goes to primary dealers, used to buy, bonds and whatnot, which are then sold back to the government, which are then, it's just a big, basically a ledger kind of thing. But the dollars that you guys think about for inflation is that happens at the bank when the banks loan out money. That's where that creation is happening. And we're not having like that, like people are expecting. And so, again, people are, at first they're like, okay, loans are great, but then you guys start thinking, man, am I going to be able to pay this back? Does it make sense to take out this loan? Man, I'm overextending myself way too far. If this all goes south, I lose everything. I'm not interested in doing that. So yeah, I think there's all those kind of things in there. But gold didn't soar in 2008. Let me see here. It came afterward. It came like, maybe the end of 2008, early 2009, I'm thinking maybe. Because again, at the beginning, everything goes down. Oh, doggone it. Oh my gosh, seriously? My brain, I'm trying to think here. GC, there it is. Gold futures, that's what I'm looking for. But everything goes down at first when there's a crash or what you call it, recession or depression or something like that. Let's come here. There we go. And so, let's see. Did it come down here? Yeah, right here at the end. Yeah. It was the end of 2008 is when it did it. And it was a few months later, March of 2009, when the market itself actually bottomed. So gold bottomed in October, about 5 months prior to that. But at the beginning here, everything drops. Everything dropped. And that's what happens. And so if you're going to have a larger drop than this and more sideways, where you jump into stagflation, I think that becomes a different thing when it comes to gold. I do think it's going to go back up. I think, we get that drop and then it goes back up. But we'll see how this plays out at first here. We'll see if we get a little boost up here to 2,300 first, and then a breakdown, or just a breakdown from here. Or maybe we don't get that breakdown at all. I'm still looking for that move down toward the lower end there, like this, potentially, still to work out with itself there. So we'll see if we can get this. But like I said, if we get that breakout up over here, we're going to have that probably that 2,300, 2,350 kind of area. Same thing we've talked about for, I guess, yeah. So for months and months here, since last year, we talked about that as a possibility. Yeah. Have a great day, Bill, or a great date there with the wife, man. Yeah, you really don't own any property. Yeah, exactly. If your property can be taken away because you didn't pay your property taxes, do you really own the property? Yeah, so, we were basically using it for a while on that. What's the Bitcoin death cross scenario now? Should we worry about it? I don't worry about that stuff. It doesn't have a very good hit rate for being correct. So to me, it's nothing worth watching, honestly. Ernest, commercial real estate. Yeah, I was the first one to start in. We started seeing things happening that I was talking about last year as it was happening there with commercial real estate. And then, of course, personal, with the moratorium there on the rent or the rent and mortgage payments and all that. But yeah, and the problem with the moratorium on rents, people are like, oh, great, we don't have to pay our rent. But, the person who owns the building still has to make the payments on the building, And if you think, especially if it's still in the newness in the first, 5 to 10 years of ownership of that building, you're just paying the building, and then, of course, you've got your staff cost and whatever and any repair cost and all that as well. Real estate becomes something that's great after owning it for, 20 years kind of thing. So, yeah. Let me see here. 2011 was the metals blow up. Yeah, you had that drop back then. Yeah, 2010-11 was when QE hit. And metals started dropping out back then. Yeah, 2011 was that top, and it dropped down to 2015 or so with the low. And then it started coming up with that after that. Yeah. Oh, blow up. Well, it blew up. When you say blow up, I think you mean a downtrend. Yeah. Downtrend happened there in 2011 is where it started through, like I said, 2015 or 16 there. Like I showed, like it was on the chart. Oh, right here. Yeah, right here. Coming into Q4 of 11 down till the end of Q4 of 15. Then moving up here. So we'll see. Right now I've got this as a flat, so we'll see if we get it. But either way, this pulling back after the breakout here, so many people didn't see that coming. So we'll see what happens with all this. But I don't think gold is really an inflation play. I mean, I think, gold is just, charts. I mean, it's like everything else. It's what's going on with the charts. So, yeah. Hank wants this to be a cup and handle. Not too bad a pullback if it is. Yeah. I don't like all this right here, but how big of a move is that? See, I don't like this because it's almost a 50% push into the cup. And so those spikes like that usually invalidate cup and handle patterns. So I don't like how high that's gone up into it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I can own napkin, Hank. I know what you said there, man. You're saying because Creed was saying that Bitcoin is the only true property you can own. Hey, you know what? You're going to be happy he has those napkins if you need to blow your nose and you ain't got one. I'm telling you now, man. Or if you're eating barbecue, messy barbecue, right? We'll see what happens, again with it. And guys, those of you that have been following me long enough, you know that I don't hate Bitcoin. You know that I actually love Bitcoin, right? It's usually the people who just come in that aren't used to being people talking to them realistically that think I hate Bitcoin, right? But the reality of it is, I want you guys to remember, the reality of it is we've only known Bitcoin. We've only known Bitcoin from during the bull run, during the secular bull run from 2009, 10 up till now, right? So we don't know truthfully how Bitcoin will happen or how Bitcoin will be affected by any kind of recession or depression. What we do know is that Bitcoin is a very volatile asset, which makes it a very risky asset. And when the market drops, when the market recedes and pulls back, we know that risky assets are the first thing that usually go. They're the first things that are usually sold. So these are the things that we do know. So, as I've been warning you guys for the past couple of years now, obviously I hope Bitcoin continues to run up into $1 million because, hey, I'm going to buy me an island or 3, right? But the reality of it is we don't know how it's going to go there. What about Ether? You guys got to have better questions than this, man. I don't know what you're saying. Ivan, let me know what you're saying. So yeah, we'll have to see. If we have this big, huge depressionary bust that I'm thinking we may have, it'll be interesting to see how Bitcoin operates in that kind of environment. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes with it. But again, the hope is that it does do well, and even if it drops back to 2,000, the hope is that that's just an amazing point to buy. The problem is if it drops to 2,000, all y'all, CT is crypto Twitter, all of y'all, most of y'all will not buy at 2,000, all right? For the same reason that most people didn't buy here, and most people didn't buy here, and for the same reason that most people did not buy here when we told you to, or didn't buy here when we told you to, it's just fear, guys. Human beings, it's fear. But, you'll buy the breakout up here, or if it comes back down to 2,000, you'll buy something along the way when it goes up, when it probably doubles twice maybe, is when people start getting interested maybe. Yeah. So, again, we'll see how that all plays out, guys, right? But my goal here is to make sure that you aren't so emotionally attached to it that no matter what happens, you just don't sell. It would be a shame for you guys to be in low, get some high number, 6 figures or something, and not enjoy that profit that you get from that. It will do significant damage psychologically to most people if they're holding from under 10,000 and it goes up well over 100,000 and then crashes back down below 1,000 or something like that. That's the reality of human beings, and then the way our psyche works and our emotions work. It will be a very devastating thing, something like that, because they'll be imagining all that they could have taken profit up there and they didn't, right? Oh, what's my appearance? Are you talking about the chart, the Ethereum chart, or just Ethereum? I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions, Ivan. I'm just trying to understand what you're asking, man. If you want the chart, let me know that the chart is what you're looking at. If you want my opinion about Ethereum itself, like I've been talking about, Bitcoin itself, let me know that. Let's see here. So we did gold, we did the DXY, we did Bitcoin here, we did USD CAD. Let me see here. We can actually pull in a NASDAQ composite here. We can take a look at that. Oh, Ether itself. Yeah, so Ether itself. My concern is that the market itself is still really, people are going to get out there and scream to you that all these things have all these great utilities and they're all, great buys fundamentally and whatever. But at the end of the day, if Bitcoin's going to drop 50% or something, you see everything else is going to get hit by that, right? And so what that means is today still everything is dependent on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the only real fundamental thing that matters right now. Is Bitcoin doing well or is it doing poorly? And really that's kind of where it comes. I don't think, again, I understand everybody wanting to find some valid fundamental analysis reason why, Ether or heaven forbid Doge or Shibu or SafeMoon or whatever all these silly names are, I'm not even going to go into the highly sexualized ones. It's just stupid. But, they want to come in with that. But there really isn't any fundamental that outworks Bitcoin right now. Even in 2018, when Bitcoin was pulling back after the 2017 all-time high, and BNB was running up, or in 2019 when Bitcoin was still pulling back and Link was running up, even those runs were predicated on the idea that Bitcoin was going to find a bottom and continue higher. If there wasn't belief that Bitcoin was going to find a bottom and continue higher, then neither one of those would have really had much of a chance, I don't think. Even though BNB has a bit of function, in its use, the way they and whatnot. I think Ethereum, the same thing I argued about Ethereum and Bitcoin, 2017 when I first came into the space, beginning of 2017. I argued that they were going to be the dominant in what they do because they were the first ones in. So you have that network effect, right? You're going to have other things that are to be created with better functionality and whatever, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin was the first. So it holds a certain value for that. Now Ethereum was the first, to do, was the first one out there really to do those smart chain, smart, contracts and everything. It became a platform for other things. So it doesn't matter a whole lot at the moment anyway, who's coming out with better this and that, because everybody's already working on Ethereum. You see what I'm saying? So if everybody's already kind of on that, people tend to put their money where everybody is, because at the end of the day, you're creating projects that are supposed to generate revenue, right? And so you go where the market is. And the market right now is on Ethereum. Ethereum's got what, 80% of the smart chain contracts and all that out there, or 80% of the dApps or whatever are built on it, and all those other things. So, in that terms, I think Ethereum, at least until something else proves otherwise, really is going to continue to be the dominant one in that particular space there. So, yeah, that's kind of what I think about that at the moment. Let me see here. So let's look at the NASDAQ here real quick. So the NASDAQ, this is the NASDAQ composite, not the NASDAQ 100 here. You can see that we've got this rejection, pretty good rejection right now, coming at the this right below the swing high up here, right? And so what I did was I had a count which ended this right here. Ended it right here. This was wave 5, and then this was a 1, and this was a 2. Until yesterday. And yesterday I updated with this potential bullish count because we're so close to overcoming that swing high. Now I'm looking at this as an ending diagonal here. So we've got like an ABC as a 1, 2, ABC as a 3, 4. And then here we may have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as an A and pull back for a B, and then still have a C coming up. So we may. But if we drop below this swing low right here at 13,548, that should have you looking at potentially maybe the tops here. If we see it dropping down below wave 4 down here, that's going to be your first clue that that top is probably in. And then, of course, you'll need to find some other sides on the way down there. But right now, pretty close to that all-time high right there. And I think we might see it break out and head a bit higher first on that. Let me see here. So, if we look at the NASDAQ there and then we compare it to, let's see here. Let's compare it to the Dow Jones, another index, a broader based index. The NASDAQ is very tech heavy. The Dow Jones is very, is much more balanced, right? And what do we notice here? We've got this, the Dow Jones is not confirming that, well, it's still not a higher high yet. But if the NASDAQ pops out higher there, the Dow Jones will not be confirming that. Now, I think the 100, the NASDAQ 100, I think, popped out to a new higher high. So we've got a non-confirmation there. And as I've talked about before, when you have these non-confirmations between indexes, many times they denote a top in the market. But we'll see what happens here. Right now, we've still got this coming down. I've got two counts. I've got a black count which says, okay, we topped out here back in May, and we did a 1, and we're doing, we did a 2 as a flat, and now we're doing, wave 3 here, which should drop below the swing lows here. The other count suggests maybe, again, we've got this 5 up here, so maybe this is an A, B, C. So this would be 3, this would be 4, and this would be 1 of 5. So the red 1 here. So it gets us a 2 on the pullback here, and then 3, 4, 5. So both counts valid. Dropping below the swing low here will invalidate the red count and add confirmation, add confidence there to the black count. So yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're seeing with that. We were looking at the possibility of maybe this being a double bottom here with the breakout, but as you can see, didn't get anywhere near where that target would have been and was rejected. It's falling back into this here, so not a double bottom there. Yeah, I'm thinking so, Michael Otis. Yeah, I'm thinking so, buddy. Let me see here. Where's that March? Yeah, it looks like we might have... Nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry. What I was doing there. Let's go all the way here. Here we go. Let's see. Well, see, that channel's already broken down. Has it? Yeah, that channel's already broken down. From March of 2020. Did you say March of 2020? Yeah. I mean, that channel is already done for. Unless, of course, you're trying to put it way over, I don't know where else you would draw that. I mean, if you're going to draw a channel here, that's where it makes sense. Low, high, low. Kind of pulling that off there. If we look at it from... oh, okay, you're looking at on linear. Yeah, I wouldn't, especially when it comes to things like channels and whatnot. Watching on linear on a move from 18,000 to, almost twice that. I don't know, maybe. Still, I don't know, maybe. When you get these big moves, though, you really don't want to watch. You get a lot of fake outs with linear, because it doesn't compensate for, what's going on there. But yeah, I see what you're saying here now. You're looking at breakdown on that. Yeah, probably coming in. But, here on the daily, we dropped down into overbought here, or oversold here. Not quite to the bottom, but trying to curl a bit here. We're just neutral there with RSI, but coming off an overbought, so we're in a downtrend. So yeah, we'll see if we can do that. But yeah. So possibly. I think importantly here is that we're dropping here below the pivot, below the daily pivot. And that's a bearish thing. So, we came in, we moved in sideways between the pivot and the R1, bounced off the pivot, printed a higher low, or I'm sorry, a lower high, and now we're dropping down through the pivot now. That's kind of bullish. Bearish right there. Now, will it take out the swing low? That's what we have to wait and see. There's a lot of demand that's going to be in this wick here. And so coming through the pivot, we'd usually look for price to target this S1 pivot, which is going to be pretty close to the EQ of this demand structure right here. So I think that if we continue down from here, that's where I'm looking. And then we'll see, do we get a move and back above the pivot, or do we get rejected the pivot again and fall lower? If we get to reject the pivot again and fall lower, that's a big clue that the top may be in up here. Look at that daily candle. Crazy, right? Kind of looks like an upside down Adam and Eve here. Adam and then Eve. Maybe. It's not too far off in pricing either there. Get log back on there. Yeah, potentially. I'm not overly excited about the structure, but I think if you were looking at it as that, you would just look for this right here. So a breakdown below that swing low would give you a pattern target then right there around 31,976, which takes you just below the wave 2 swing low here. Yeah. So I don't. I mean, yeah, potentially, Denny. I think maybe. I don't like, for whatever reason, this is really throwing me off on the pattern. I don't like the feel of the pattern as a Adam and Eve with this right here going on. That's a pretty deep drop there, almost to the swing low. You'll have to tell me what time frame the bearish divergence you're talking about. Are you talking about here, Michael, on Dow Jones? Or are you talking about on Bitcoin, or what you talking about there? By the way, you'll notice right here, rejected at the weekly R1 pivot. Right? 2 atoms. So, again, looking at trading pivots, we moved in sideways between the pivot and the R1, getting rejected the R1. In the big picture thing here, if we're dropping below this pivot, that's pretty much all she wrote, I think. DJI daily. Where are you seeing bearish divergence? Because I've got lower highs. I've got lower highs here. We had it right here, where we had the higher highs, and then we had the lower highs on the oscillator here. And that led to this three-wave move down. Well, it looks like a three-wave move, here on the daily. Which makes me cautious about whether this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whether this is a 1, A, B, C as a 2 as a flat here. So, yeah, I mean, this is not a good sign on a daily. This reversal hammer up here at the top. And then you gap down on the next one. And you had these strong moves down. I mean, this three candle structure here is extremely bearish. The question is, did this take care of it here? Because now we have this hammer candle here. But we didn't advance with as much gusto as we declined there. So again, and now we're falling back below the pivot. So, again, this is just sideways here basically from, more or less from back here on April 16th. It's just sideways here. So we need definitive breakout above or below, I think, to really kind of locally anyway get us a directional thing on it right now. Yeah. Let's see here. Zoom back into Bitcoin here. See what we're doing at the moment. Locally, it's nearing a breakout above. Remember, this is going to be A, B, C, D, E. So it's nearing a breakout above wave D. We'll have to see if we can get it. Got a lot of room on Stochastic RSI on the 1 hour. You can see there was a lot of volume that came in right here, right after that spike up. And you had a lot of selling coming in. How do we know it was a lot of selling coming in? Right here, even though it's a little candle, you got this big, huge candle. Because look at the volume that attended this large candle spread here. Half the volume or so of the next candle, so almost twice the volume of the next candle, and it reverses. And even though it's just a little bit the other way, it still shows you that a buttload of supply in relation to demand came in right there. So yeah. Again, we're looking at this consolidation here. I think that might be a triangle getting ready to break on out there. Gives that minimal triangle target there of 41,571. Yeah. Let me see if there's anything I talk about that I put on my Twitter here recently. MicroStrategy, you know, Sailor there wants to raise another $1 billion. Remember when he put the 500 million, which he then rose, I think, to 600 million just recently. Remember he said he had about a 1.6 billion interest. So this is another $1 billion. Isn't, you know, it doesn't not make sense, right? You can take advantage of the people that want to give you those low rate loans. And as long as Bitcoin goes up, he's okay. If Bitcoin is down significantly from his average buy-in, when it comes time to start paying these things, it could get a bit more sticky. But, you know, this stuff, these things, these bonds that he's selling, that he's been selling to collect all this Bitcoin, this is the junk bonds that I talk about. And remember, we look at that TLT versus junk bonds to kind of see what's going on with all that. Let me see if this is the right chart right here. Yeah. Remember, this is the idea that if this is going down, it means people are selling their TLT, which is you know, the high very, you know, the secure government securities, long-term government securities, 20 plus years. And then the junk bonds are the corporate things like what Michael Saylor is selling out there. And so when this ratio is going down, it means that people are buying corporate junk bonds and getting rid of their long-term government securities, which means they're taking more risk. So it gives us that risk-on environment, which is usually when you see equities, you know, rising and everything else kind of rising with that, right? But when it goes the other way, what this means is people are buying more of those government securities, those long-term government securities, because they're safe, much, much safer than junk bonds, and selling their junk, right? So this was leading into that March of 2020 thing here. See, everybody fled the markets and ran into TLT. They got out of their junk bonds, went into TLT here. And then there comes down, risk on, market goes up. Yeah. And of course, you know, TLT in relation to Bitcoin, right? So again, you know, Bitcoin is a risky asset. This is what I've talked about. And a lot of people, they don't like to hear this. But Bitcoin's a risky asset, and risky assets are usually the first things that are sold when the market turns down, when the economy turns down. So again, Bitcoin sold off, TLT rose here against Bitcoin. So this orange one is just the Bitcoin chart. This is Coinbase. And this movement down here is your government securities ratio, you know, government securities versus Bitcoin ratio here on the weekly. So, you know, I do this to show you guys that Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is a risky asset. So when we talk about potentially the economy rolling over and having a big issue, you know, that we're going to see that, you know, we're going to see the bonds, the government securities, long-term government securities rising, Bitcoin going down. So we need, you know, we can watch this ratio here to kind of see what's going on. Most recently, as you can see here, where we had the sideways and then the down. Look at this. Sideways started back over here, where TLT versus Bitcoin kind of went sideways and then it went up. So don't think that no matter what, Bitcoin's going to go up at all times, guys. You got to be smart about this. Last thing you want to do is to ignore the other things that are really kind of going on in there. So we'll see what happens with all that. You know, the trend, obviously, since back here in January of 15, December of 14, has been this downtrend in the ratio, while Bitcoin price overall has risen. You know, that's what you would expect. What do I think of the high volume node right under the low volume node at the R1 pivot? Oh, on TLT junk. Let me check real quick here. Do you mean the S1 pivot here? You mean that S1 pivot? If it doesn't get the strong move we're looking for, well, it's actually the longer. It's actually the larger, higher volume node here. You see? Yeah. If we break down from there, this is definitely my target. Yeah. This is definitely my target right here. I think somebody else asked about that Friday or something on the stream. But yeah, so that's definitely my target on the TLT junk here if it continues lower off this plateau right here that's kind of trying to rise off of at the moment. Yeah, I'll definitely be looking at S1 pivot down there right around 1.13. Yeah, and I would think that would probably hold. And the thing is, if we get that I think gives us the rest of the year for Bitcoin and, you know, everything else to kind of make their final move up maybe. I think that would make a lot of sense, you know, because that would be risk on. If this is a drop here, we're going risk on. So Bitcoin, everything else catches a bid. It takes it up one more time before it's all said and done, I think maybe. But, you know, again, with that, you know, that would set it up for that potential reversal on that. And that reversal, you know, would be that big thing that, you know, everybody goes risk off on here, you know, as it goes up there. And then, you know, because it's going risk off there, all, you know, Bitcoin, stock market, commodities, all that stuff is kind of going down as well off there. So sure. Yeah. I can definitely see that. Let me see here. What else we got here? Oh, SEC, no plans to regulate Bitcoin until 2021. Get your Bitcoin trading in, guys. I can say this much. When they regulate, it's going to suck. I don't think it's going to do anything good for most of y'all trading out there. If you're a large player, well, I think any regulation is going to do is going to make it a lot harder for the smaller guy to get in there. If they don't downright so something I've talked about the last couple of years is the possibility that when Bitcoin hits 6 figures, that the SEC, or, you know, hits 6 figures, then bear market after that, the SEC comes in and requires it, you know, kind of classifies it almost like a hedge fund in terms of how you have to be to trade it, which means as a U.S. citizen, you're going to have to be an accredited investor, which means over $1 million in property, minus your residence, or what is it, $250,000 a year, I think, as a single person over the last 2 years of income. And if you don't meet those, then you won't be able to invest in. I think that's a possibility of where Bitcoin could be headed with the SEC coming in regulating. We've already seen that Kraken here in another week or so, if you don't meet the requirements here in the U.S., you won't be able to trade with leverage there anymore. So as a U.S. trader, you will not have the ability to trade with leverage anywhere, I don't believe, you know, that allows U.S. residents. Now, you know, obviously some of y'all are going to VPN into other places, but you know, where they say that you shouldn't be, they're using it. But those that cater to U.S. residents, I don't believe there'll be any. So if they make it accredited only, what happens to holders that don't qualify? That's a good question. I think you'd be able to hold it, but you just wouldn't be allowed to trade it. So how would that happen with selling it off? I don't... Maybe they would allow you to sell it off, but not buy more. Maybe. I'm not sure how that would. That's a good question. I'll have to look that up a little bit. I don't think they'd go the strong arm route and make you sell it. That would give them a lot of flack, especially if they did it in a bear market where price was down, say 50 or 60% from the highs, and you were planning to hold through the next run up. I think they would get a significant ton of flack on something like that. So I don't think they'd do that. They could make you do it, but I don't think they would. Yeah, like gold in the 30s, right? Everybody was told they had to give back their gold to the government, right? Exactly. Lamb says, time to move to Mexico or Canada. Yeah, something somewhere where you can actually trade and not, have to deal with the nonsense. Yeah. But again, these are just thoughts. I don't know what they're going to do, guys. I don't know what they're going to do for sure. But it's the thing that I warned everybody about back in 2018 was that, when the SEC does step in, there is a possibility they could do that under the guise of protecting you, the same way they do it with hedge funds, right? Which basically amounts to only the wealthy can get wealthier with that. So, do your trading in your office and then come back? Well, you have to think about how if you'll still be a U.S. resident, Lamb. So you won't be able to trade. You won't be able to trade over there. You'll still be a U.S. resident. So that won't work. That's why we were looking at things like maybe moving to Puerto Rico, where you still got U.S. residency, or citizenship, and then residency of a type there in Puerto Rico. So you could still travel freely back and forth to the U.S., but you're still not a resident of the U.S. You're still a resident of Puerto Rico even. Yeah. What's going on, Black Man's Guide to Bitcoin? Good to see you, man. You're not a U.S. citizen, just a fiction. Good luck proving that in court. Paul Tudor Jones says he's about 80% sitting on, wondering, waiting to see what the Fed does. By the way, the Fed is meeting midweek here again, so we might see some volatility coming in Wednesday, Thursday. But overall, I think the trends remained intact, whatever they are locally. We'll just get some volatility, I think, depending on what they say there. Portugal, dual citizenship, no crypto taxes. There you go. Goldman Sachs, of course, they're going to allow crypto trading with Ether options there for their clients. They're not going to create an exchange for y'all, but for their clients, which their clients are wealthy, so that could be a bonus for you in terms of Ethereum and whatnot. Locally, again, it makes that rise, that end of the year run. So yeah. Let me see here. And of course, MicroStrategy did its 500 million offering. And so, you've got them probably buying along the terms here, probably started already. Anything else up here? Oh, yeah, here we go. Federal unemployment benefits are getting cut off on Saturday for residents of Mississippi, Missouri, Alaska, and Iowa. So, it cuts aid for 340,000 people in an effort to push them to work. We'll see if they work. But yeah, that gets rid of that $300 a week supplement, the aid for freelancers and long-term unemployed, stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with that. Remember, the moratorium on the mortgages and rent payments or whatever comes up, I believe it's this month or next month. I think it's this month as well. So again, everybody's always like, well, what's the reason? Why is the market going to turn down? I mean, there could be that possibility. By the way, you can check out your global liquidity here. Interesting chart here, showing that it peaked out not too long ago here. China's credit, the M2 year-over-year growth rate, if you care about that. USD percentage, supply percentage here, owned by foreigners, dropping off there. Public sector liquidity dropping off. So if liquidity is tightening up, that has a disinflationary effect at the least, and potentially even a deflationary effect. So yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. Tell you right, a nomad capitalist. Yeah, I like him. If you're looking into maybe finding another place in the world to live based on taxes and stuff like that, and if you're looking at many of us don't know about how the whole passport and living abroad, being a citizen of the world, how all that kind of works. A nomad capitalist is a great place to go with that. There's a few others out there, but yeah, I would definitely say it's a good one there. Crypto P&L, man, I appreciate you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that you're following me, man. Again, I don't want you guys necessarily. And here's the best thing about all this, guys. Anytime I say, that I'm doing this trade for this reason or whatever, and I expect it to go here, don't blindly just buy or sell according to that. Don't. I've warned you guys for years not to do that. I'm telling you what I think based on, the things I know and how I look at the market. But even if it does work out, it may be not a great trade for you. There may be a better trade that you could take. This is why it's so important for you to figure out who you are as a trader or investor, and then understand how it all works and how these systems work, and then figure out what makes the most sense to you. And if you do that, create that system. It's all about the system, guys. It's not about this trade and the next trade and the next trade, and you're all singularly sighted on each trade. It's about developing a system that works consistently. If you build the system, it'll get you where you want to go. As long as you continue to just concentrate on every trade in its own little world, you're most likely going to lose money overall. So yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, tell you what, you've been with us for, gosh, man, a couple of years now. Lamb's been around even longer than you have. Oh, man. So, yeah. So, we just kind of do things as we do it, guys. Be logical about the things you're looking at. Try to notice when the things you're arguing are coming from an emotional area. It doesn't mean you're going to be wrong necessarily, but it means that if you're trading based on emotion, then more times than not, you're going to lose money. A lot more times than not. You can be emotional and still be correct, but the worst thing you can do is be emotional and be correct, and then think that however you did it while you were emotionally was the way to do it. It's going to work. Because what will happen is you'll start losing. Because it was just luck that you got it. You were just being emotional and bought or sold. So yeah, just be careful of that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get out here just a little bit early. Like I said, I've got to get my stuff together and get it over to the post office so I can get it to the IRS so they don't charge me a whole bunch of extra money that I don't need to pay because I already have to pay all that in taxes to get my tax return out there in time. So I really appreciate you guys checking in with us as always. I'll be back on Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Look forward to seeing you all then. And you know what? Maybe even hopefully before that, jumping with us over here, howtotradetowin.com. Use that 50% off tier 3, the number 3. I'll go ahead and do it one more time in here. Off tier 3. That's the code. Use that on an annual tier 3, and it actually gets you almost 70% off of the monthly rate. So, the monthly rate for tier 3 is, if you just pay month to month, is $199 a month. Well worth it, by the way, at that price, just in case you didn't understand it is. But man, oh man, so much of a steal at the paying for the annual there with that discount. And by the way, in case you're wondering here, these are our channels. I still have a lot I'm still trying to get through. We have lots of stuff going on here. So if you're tier 3, you'll basically get, all these kind of channels on here. If you're tier 1, you only have a couple. If you're tier 2, you have more. If you're tier 3, you've got all this. We've got all our intraday and daily updates, weekly updates. We've got crypto indexes we do weekly, chart requested charts, which is where I put the charts after you request them. unless they're good enough to go into the hot takes sections here. Discussion channels for each of the things we do there. Weekly educational channel, weekly educational streams go in there. They're all archived. This is for Tier 3, of course. VIP alts there. If you're a new trader, if you come in and you're a new trader, talk to Adam, and he'll ask you a few questions and see if you fit in there, and if so, he'll give you special access to the New Traders Only channel there. General discussion, FA discussion, questions, script programming, risk management, resource self-development suggestions. All this great stuff, guys. Again, it's not just a few things here. We're going to give you more content in Tier 3 than you can actually handle in a month. I'll tell you that right now. So, again, more reason why the whole annual thing at this price is absolutely amazing steal there for you. All right? So listen to the guys. They're over here telling you what they think of it. These are a few that have been here for a long time. They've been paying for a very long time, guys, and they still do today. So there's a reason for that. It's more than what I can tell you. I think that shows you that, hey, it's probably a decent place to be. So anyway, guys, as Hank says, soccer fans, or football if you're across the water over there, Germany, France in an hour. So get your game on. Watch that, all right? I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a fantastic week. Trade safe. And as always, don't just buy and sell emotionally out there. It's going to get you lost, okay? Work on that risk management. The only thing that you control in the market is how much you lose. All right? Y'all have a great day, great week, and I will see you all either in Discord or on Friday. Take care.